Welcome to the Edges of Lean. I'm Bella Engelbach, and in this podcast we explore the human and creative side of lean thinking, unusual places where lean thinking is practiced. We meet people who are practicing continuous improvement in many different flavors and styles. So come along with me on a journey to the edges of lean.
Episode 51, Continuous Improvement and the Smart of Art, with Michaell Magrutsche. As lean thinkers, we're all about creating good systems that work for people and help people do what they need to do. Michaell Magrutsche thinks that systems stand in the way of our understanding and developing our full humanity. I thought it was important for us to have a conversation about this. Michaell is a California Multimedia Artist, a writer, and an advisor. He was born in Vienna. His main goal in life is to find more of himself, and that's what he applies in every part of his life, especially in his artistic expressions. Listen to see what we ended up deciding about systems and humanity.
Michaell Magrutsche, welcome to the Edges of Lean.
Hi.
Hey, Michaell, tell us about Michaell. And while you're at it, tell us about your fabulous background.
So yeah, I'm an artist, as you see. That's one of my creations, I'm an artist since I'm 6 years old, and I have always done something. I was a DJ, then I built 2 discos. I was a fashion show producer because the visual fashion, I like the artistry in it and the whole drama. And then I got into television documentaries for PBS, Discovery, and A&E. And then I worked with Robert Evans, who is, the famous Paramount chief. And then I became CD Arts Commissioner. So I had a lot of, and I wrote 5 books about art, and I found art is the language of wisdom. So I discovered that. Because I am dyslexic and I was not, a very hard time in school, could never fit in. And, so I had to discover myself. I was forced to. The system couldn't provide me who I am. I had to find my own self.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Vienna. I was born in Vienna, and I came here when I was 18.
18. So was the school system very rigorous and sort of compartmentalizing people, trying to figure out where people fit in and put them in those slots?
Not as extreme as today. You just were stupid. That's what you were. You either were stupid or you were not stupid. And the good system navigator said, I know the answer. But basically that, and it's so old, it's 40 years or 50 years ago,
Yeah.
So this is not now. So there was no system separation except gender. Gender, of course, was, and that's a sad thing because it should never even be. That's also a system related thing.
So boys and girls were educated separately.
No, we were the first, in my class was the first one that was co-ed. So actually I never had to experience just guys or just girls.
Wow, interesting. So one of the things that you said to me when we were chatting in preparation for this podcast, which was so interesting to me, because we in Lean and Continuous Improvement are all about systems, is that you have never fit into systems. So what does that feel like to be the person that doesn't fit into the system?
You self-shame yourself probably 40 years. At least with me, I self-shamed myself at least 40 years. I said, deep inside, you say there's something wrong with you, but you also know there is something right. See, and if a person has I always say, if a person has this spirit that I have, a lot of fire, look at my painting, right? If you have a lot of fire, you choose to go against that. So it's not first you try to against it, and then you say, that can't be, because my feeling, my sense of self tells me I'm not stupid. I'm system stupid, which I'm still now, but I'm not stupid. And that revelation, if you're dyslexic and all these things you have, and I was a sick child too. So you have all this revelation to yourself and say, you know, it's about humans. It's not about gender. It's not about race. It's not about, and everybody fits, because otherwise you wouldn't be created. And I'm not religious, but I'm saying, why are you here? Because you're a mistake, because you don't fit in. And this is also the message systems give today. And that's why I said we need our relationship to systems, we have to change. Because this is when you do everything the system asks you to, and then you get the husband, you get the dog, you get the house, you get all your kids in college, and then you're not happy. What is the system saying? It's your fault. There must be something wrong with you. So a system can never promise something. It does promise and it does sell, but it can never promise you anything, because look at now what's going on with the war. Same thing. It promises you peace and safety, and it's not. So if you don't, and the system can only survive because humans are so flexible and so adaptable that they can make the systems work, because humans are good. They want the systems to work. We need systems, but systems outdate and they never close down. Very few systems close down. They usually, it's like you want to get rid of government employees. There will be more. There will never be less. There will shortly be a time, or they create new systems where these people go, but it's never ending. And what happens is we spend our life today in system navigation on one side and other system maintenance, and the human potential falls on at the wayside.
Yeah, there's not much time for creativity or art or just being human, just simple enjoyment. But the purpose of the systems, that we hope that we're creating when we're doing lead work, when we're doing our continuous improvement work, is to create that space that allows that to happen. But you make such a good point. I think at a certain point, the system develops a kind of an accretion of things that people have done to change the system because the system hasn't worked for them. You get workarounds on top of workarounds and avoidances, and then the simple path that you think that you've built becomes a very complicated path, which then consumes a lot of time.
Life energy, life force.
Yeah, a lot of life energy. Yeah. So before we go on, Michael, I would love it for those who are listening and not watching on YouTube. Can you just tell us about the painting that is your background today, and how and when you painted it, and can you describe it for the folks who are not able to see it?
It's called Chaos Theory, and I wanted to show the beauty that is in chaos. And so my titles usually have a meaning that you can discover in my art. And you find all my art in michaellm.com, Michael with 2 L's, michaellm.com. And there's the hubs and my social networks and my podcast. I have a 30-second podcast that is all about the art as the language of wisdom. And it's only a quote and a question twice a week. And I rely on that humanity can fill in the blanks or discard my seeds. Those are just seeds to contemplate our humanity.
So you love to plant seeds. And if I could just say a little bit more about this painting, for those of you who can't see it, it's the bold brush strokes of intense color going in all directions, right? And it's very vibrant, has a lot of energy to it, which I think reflects who you are as a person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about the distinction between knowledge and wisdom. So I've done a couple of podcasts recently on knowledge, how we capture knowledge, how we use knowledge. But there is a difference between knowledge, right, and wisdom. So can you define that in your own language, your own words?
So wisdom can't be defined but I can come close because you need words, and language are guideposts that guide you to wisdom. So basically all we do, the humans, we're here to discover our purpose, why we're here. And one of the purpose and why we're here is wisdom. The wisdom is the language that humans get. For example, the most wisdom is in older people because it comes from the experience of living. It doesn't come from the experience of knowing. If I say, I know how it is to give birth, you're gonna laugh at me. I can tell you, I can write 18 books about giving birth and you will still laugh at me. But in our systems, we pretend knowledge is living. The meta, universe. We think this is life. Knowledge isn't life. Neither are systems, and also knowledge gets old. Knowledge is, look what you learned in history 20 years ago and look what you learn now. It's completely palatable, whatever the system needs it to be. So if our system is right now tainted, our social system is tainted with being politically correct, then it will rewrite history, and it does that. And why is art? Because art is the most objective history reflection. Even though the guy was angry or crazy or whatever, it's the most objective reflection of our humanity. It's only about humanity. My true north is humanity and nature, because those two we haven't created. Everything else, knowledge, systems, is all created by us, and all depends on repetition. That means we say it's true when it's 3 times we got the same results. And then comes up, but then something else comes out and we change that again. So that's the, and look what they do now, the systems. That's the newest thing. The abortion system, I'm not going into politics, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's changing because the system cannot, not the people, the system cannot deal with transgender, 2 guys having a kid, 2 girls having a kid. It just can't, because humans are so limitless. It's about our potential is so huge, but the systems are so small, and that's why systems always tend to outdate. And usually when that happens, we need to discard them and create a new one. That's the better version, or adapt them as long till where the effort is more to navigate the system than the outcome.
So I think what you're saying, and I want to put this in the context of the work that we do, and the way that we approach work. What you're saying is, when it comes to the point that humans being limitless and having many more ways of expressing themselves, of being, of using tools or using language, move beyond a system, we really should be paying attention, right? Because that says, hey, it's time to change the system. But
you said the word.
Yeah, but what happens, I think, is that we come to believe that the system is reality,
Yes.
right? And so what that we then do is we then make up stories to explain why the system is reality. So that's why you would, you see people saying things like, well, there's only two genders, because in my mental system, there are only two genders. And here's an example of only two genders over here. So here, that explains my whole system. And so this is like a big meta thing, but which is, critical in society right now. But if we look at the smaller systems that we create, whether it's, a work system about how you're actually leveling the flow of work for people, making sure that they're not being overburdened. When it comes to the point when your system doesn't work anymore, it doesn't mean, or you shouldn't take it to mean, that there's something wrong with the outside world that's, making the work come in at an uneven pace, or a more uneven pace than you can manage. And it means it's time to change the system. And that should be okay, because that's also the way the systems in nature work. So that's the way biological systems work.
Exactly.
Is with much more adaptability, but you have to get used to some swings. And
exactly. And in system, it doesn't, because systems are based on economy. And in economy is always, you need to add, you need to gain, you need to make it bigger, more. And nature doesn't work like this. And I don't know why humans don't see. The first is realizing that we are more powerful in nature. We are more intricate. We're just not aware of it, but we are more intricate and more powerful than anything on this planet, because we were not created by system. Even Shanghai is not as intricate as you. You know what I mean? No. The possibilities that you have, your possibilities are endless. And all the systems say, oh no, I use AI and whatever. It never can get you the feeling of, for example, I'll give you a good example. When an animal dies, right? You love that animal. It was your pet and whatever, and it dies. The fur is still warm, but your awareness that it died, that an AI can never replicate. It cannot create when it's dead, and it cannot create that beingness, the godliness. I don't want to talk religion either, but that's why we are superior, not because we are better than. We just, as a fact. Otherwise, systems would be totally good. Look, we have all these people who are never as busy than now. So
that is so true. That is so true. There's always so much more work to do.
Exactly.
Than there is.
And more system. It's not more work. It's more system navigation. In order to even do an iPhone, you have to adapt to the iPhone. See, there was a shift where it got so systematic. In the old days, you picked up a receiver and listened. I could understand you have to adapt to that. Instead of talking to you personally, I pick up a receiver and talk. Today, you have to switch a switch. You do this and that and that. You have to adapt so you actually can talk to you. And it's a worse quality than it was with the hang up. So we're the system. That's what I'm saying. Is the system really helping? And we don't ever question. We question humans. We say, you are bad because you can't handle that. And you are not doing this according to the system. And people also hide behind systems. They hide behind system instead of facing that I'm talking too much, right? And you say, Michael, you talk too much. but look, that's facing. That's human to human. It's like, no, you're not good. The system throws you out. It's going through a system, and you can hide through it and say, you know what, I'm not gonna use that episode because Michael talked so much. And you tell the system, I talk instead of telling it to me. And that's the whole thing. It's we talking through system, and you hide or I hide, behind it. Obviously, all the uppers, the leaders of systems, all hide, because there wouldn't be a war if they wouldn't hide behind it.
Well, and also because I think it's about what you said earlier, that the system becomes the thing that must be maintained as opposed to the humanity, right?
Mhm.
So if you say the system of a certain government must
Yeah.
be maintained and built, and the country must grow, the country must gain more territory, must get bigger, and have more people and more factories and more fields and more ports. If the system is what's important, then the humans will end up suffering, right?
Yeah.
Rather than looking and say, well, how in this situation can the humans actually do crazy things like have more time to sit in parks and listen to birds sing, right? Because,
No, or just be with the kids, or just, today we systematic the kids. We system, or you do ballet, you do piano, you do all these skills, which is all a system again. If they would just say, hey, my kid is doing free art right now, he's singing or whatever he does. No, you have to do the system thing that is accepted by systems, piano, ballet, horse riding, whatever. And we are not conscious of this. It's not, we don't have to do anything different. Just get conscious of the thing. And that's what's missing.
And I think that's a really good point for those of us who are involved in, this is what we do. We create and build systems, and we want the systems to be good, and we want the systems to be good for humans. I mean, that's why we're doing it. We're not doing it because we want to be in control, because we're really the people in control. So when you started to make art, which you said you've been doing since you were 6, did people look at you and say, well, Michaell, you've got to go to art school. You've got to be part of this academy or that academy?
No, they didn't say that, but they said artist is not a good job. Nobody makes money with it. And there's another revelation that creating art is not for the selling. That's again a system. See, this is how I found the whole system stuff. I found the realization that humans never define, as artists never defined art. Like a plumber, you say, I'm spending $1,000 on you. What are you getting me? I get you a toilet, a shower, and a wash basin, and I put all the tubes in. When you ask an artist, I said, I make great painting, and it has to come all from the ego. I was exhibited there. That doesn't make a painting a painting. You know what I mean? So we never defined what the worth is of art. And the big misconception is, because once the art is created, it becomes a product like a bicycle. It doesn't mean that you don't see a lot of things from the creation, but it is a product, and it is treated as such by systems. And that got me that opened me up to the whole system awareness, what we're doing as humans. And so we, let me explain this. There's something I wanted to tell you about this. It's all in the creation. It's all in the moment. I'm milking the moment with you right now. I'm not worried about what I have to do in 5 minutes or thing. That's where wisdom can exchange. You know that from your knowledge, that when you and I talk, both brains are changing, if we want or not. You know that, right? We alter our brains. Yeah. So that's where wisdom comes from, because we are not aware what we are accessing in each other, and we just know it's altering, and there's nothing we can do about it, But it's wisdom. All of that comes wisdom. That's when we hang up, an hour later something comes when I talk to you, and that's not of my mind. That's out of my being. That that thing in the animal that comes from, that's from the essence, and that is gender free, race free, and everything.
And it's the feeling that you have as you are creating something, that the consumer of whatever it is can never experience. They may enjoy it, right? They can look at a painting and say, this is beautiful, I love it, it gives me this feeling, or I see this story in here, I understand this symbolism. But the sense of what is happening when you create it is not something that the consumer can partake in.
No, he can, because it draws you. For example, this one, right? This painting here behind me. It draws you in the moment, and in the moment when you. That's why I say there's no other. This is, for example, a value of art. There's no other spiritual discipline that gets you more in the moment than creating art. Not to copy something, to create art. So if I say, oh, la, 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 what comes in? So I'm singing, or I'm rhyming. I'm just letting the flow go. And when the flow comes, you are in the moment, and then you are in that essence, with the animal, that being, that human being. And when you're in that being, stuff comes in. And that's not from your mind, that's from your thoughts. That's from the thoughts of your being, from the information of your being. And when you are really in your essence and you create, that is what people pick up, the godliness, that what connects us all. That's what people pick up when they say, oh my God, I looked at this painting, I start crying. Because probably the artist accessed something that triggers in you that recognizing. Why do you think patrons pay $1 million for art, to support arts without getting anything? Because in all of our humanity is that with the animal. I'm always coming to the animal because that's being, and then know that it is inherent, our creation is an inherent muscle, a superpower in us. And that is not defined by system into a product. So even everything that's created on this earth comes from that muscle, but it's right away directed into the system. And that's why it's so important to get our unlimited potential out to do art. That's why when you say why is art good? Because art is good, creating art, because it connects us with our unlimited potential in the time and now, right and now. I guess so. You don't say anything, right?
Right. So I just say, so it connects us with making art connects us with our unlimited potential.
Yeah.
And I was reminded actually of a conversation I had recently with someone. I'm involved in supporting an organization that it's a children's chorus for children in a distressed area. Mm-hmm. And we've been supporting this chorus for years. And somebody said to me, well, why do you support the chorus, right? Mm-hmm. And, there are these logical answers, like the kids who are in the chorus get tutoring, they get a summer camp, they get to learn musical theory, which is a valuable thing because it helps them with their math, so on and so forth. But that wasn't what came to my mind. What came to my mind was I support the chorus because I love the idea of these children being in a place where they're with other people making music, and that feeling that you have when you're making the music and something emotional is happening. And it excites me to think of these children whose lives are otherwise quite bleak having that. Now they get all this other stuff. They get the tutoring, they get the math education, they get the music theory. They're more likely to go to college, all the rest of it. But for me, I realized that it was all about, I want them to experience that. I want them to have that experience. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is a creative experience. So that's so cool. Yeah, so thanks for sharing that. And I think for those of us who are doing work, I know for me, when I'm doing work that is in facilitation, and I have a group of people, there is a moment, I know some of you who are watching and listening have experienced this too. There's a moment when you're facilitating when you forget yourself. And you are just in a place of being able to work with the group and help the group bring its energy together and its ideas together and create something. Mm-hmm. And that is so satisfying. It is so much more satisfying than almost anything else that I can think of. So that
you're unplugged.
You kind of have to get out of your own way right, to be able to do that. You have to have some skills in place, and then forget the skills.
You're unplugged from your mind. You're not, because you're very aware in that. When you create, you're very aware, because you have to concentrate. You see what comes out, right? It's not that you're spaced out and daydreaming. See, there's a difference. There's a difference. When you create, very focused. You're very focused, but you're unplugged from all the garbage of your mind. The system chatter, I call it, the system chatter. You have to do this. You're a woman. You have to be careful for your man. You have to do this. You have to do that. All that is gone in the moment you create. And I think and because it's not controllable, and the system cannot controllable, that's why art is the first thing they, in Russia, in Belarus, in the whole world, they cut that. They cut that. I couldn't believe that the systems of art, the art systems in Europe, forbid the Russians, because it's not about Russians, it's about humans. And look at how much they contributed to the human cultural well-being. The humans. I'm not talking Russians, I'm talking humans. How can you say, oh, because you belong to these systems, I'm gonna punish you? See, humans are always the lowest of the low. They're not number one. And we have to, because no humans, no systems. No systems, humans still can exist. The other way around, it can't.
So what you're saying is as we have systems, and we have to have systems, systems help us manage so many things, that humans always need to be sort of ahead of the system. They are more important than the system. And the system has to have room for art. The system has to have room for creativity, for change, for adaptation, for sometimes getting out of the way, sometimes for destroying the whole thing and starting again, which is something, that when you are creating, that happens, right? You start something.
Yeah.
It's not the thing you wanted. It's fine. Do something else.
But it's a reflection of our not worthiness, our not believing in our unlimitlessness, because who wants to destroy any system? It's like an artwork. See, I gave away 75% of 75 paintings a couple of years ago because I couldn't look at them anymore. And I got everything out of it. I created them, and the people were happy. I gave it away from it. So it's not about. We don't want to destroy something because we think this is so great. Like if I say, let's do the healthcare system, let's revamp the whole health system. Nobody wants to destroy what works. And nobody is asked to what thing, but we have to accept what I think is the blindness is our that we're so adaptable that we say, oh, it can go on because that's safety, because we were conditioned. It is safe to have that system, but it's a false safety. You know what I mean? Because you take all your life to navigate the system. You take all your life. You say, oh, what did I do? I mean, there's people that say, oh, I'm going to push it through. I have 10 years to live. I'm going to push that. I get a retirement. That's not living. That's manipulating the system so that you can, or abusing the system for you. That's what it really is. Because you say the system, I cannot do it without the system. So I have to sacrifice 10 more years to then, when I'm all screwed up from those 10 years, because they wreak havoc on you. You know that, there's this whole navigation and all this stuff. And then I get to another system, in the healthcare system, and I can finally retire. So what is that? So we are not conscious. Yeah. It's a conscious issue.
Right. I mean, there's a whole expectation, right? If you need to navigate the healthcare system, you had better be on the top of your game, and you had better be patient because you're going to make a lot of phone calls, and you had better be willing to to bring people together, because nobody's going to bring people together for you. And it's a huge time commitment, right?
Yeah.
And wouldn't it be wonderful to change that? You know, what could be done to change that? I mean, as you would say, the possibilities are limitless.
Yeah. But we discard them. We say, oh, there's no possibility. That's the only thing to go. And we accept that and surrender to the sacrifice. See what it is? We surrender to that. And you know, even we destroy comedians because that's, you know, art. And we say, oh, the comedians can't say that. Political correctness wants to get involved. If we edit films, we can't even, in 100 years, people cannot think, now, how did they ever come to the political correctness? We cannot even redo the history or learn from the history, because everything we do is clean, system clean. You know,
but it's only clean on the surface, right? Underneath all the earthworms are still wriggling. So
I know, but the thing is in art is our only space that can be free of speech and everything else. It must be okay to talk about Black Panthers, Nazi Party, Democrats, Republicans, gay people. It must be okay, because humor is a human that brings you into humanity. It teaches you a lot of things, you know. And as often as there was racist jokes or discriminatory jokes, I caught myself being that, laughing at that. And I have a self-revelation of that. So it's not like, oh, he made fun of Chinese people. Now I'm, you know, I'm right. They are all bad. And that's not what art is. Art is to be in our possibilities. And there's Nazis, and there's Black Panthers, and there's Black Lives Matter, and all these other Me Too. And that needs to be made fun of, because seriousness is a system symptom. Humans are not serious. You know that. You're smiling, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, they're not serious. It makes life livable to be loose and have fun. And I'm not a loose guy. You know me. Yeah. But fun is one of the things that always connect us. You know.
That's definitely true. I mean that's the way that you can sometimes connect with people, and you can't connect with them in any other way. So I'm thinking, Michael, about the kind of person who's saying, well, this is a really interesting conversation, and I think this is all fascinating about what we're saying about systems and people who don't fit in systems, but I don't have an artistic streak in me. I don't have an artistic bone in me. I don't know how to do art.
Yeah, you do.
How do they start? Well, how does someone start?
I would say to listen a couple of times to this podcast. That's number one, because it's an awareness thing. And if whoever listens to this, wants to integrate, sees value in that, what we talked about, and wants to explore that further, could be a university, could be a private person, could be whatever, somebody that wants to donate, get in contact with you or me, and then we go from there. And I coach him, I teach him. Right now, what you can do is just listen to the podcast. It's a free podcast, and just let that percolate, because it's a conscious thing. I don't want you to learn more or do more or whatever. It's a conscious thing. And I think I have done something with that podcast that actually brings you to your humanity and brings you to your wisdom, not knowledge. It brings you to your wisdom. So if you look at my quotes and questions and answer the question for yourself, not for me, afterwards, 30 seconds, twice a week, and you will be actively integrated. And that's our superpower of humans. Our potential is by together, not by separation, not by diversification, not even gender. I hate to even do gender. I see you as a human being. And that is, if you do this, if we would just get rid of all the diversification, since we're all humans, we're number one priority with nature, we have to protect our environment. If you go by that, 50% at least of problems would be gone. Because we don't have to worry about, in our mind, our potential would go exponentially up. The human potential, not the system potential. The human potential would go up, the awareness would go up, and we wouldn't need to think, what do I have to do? How do I get my kids to school? How do I do this? How I do this? We would find solutions that work for, like lean edge. It's your stuff, lean and improving. That's the key word for in your podcast is improving.
It's improving. Yeah. So I just want to say that, I hear what you're saying about, too much diversification and too much classification. I personally think it's very important that when you are with a human being, that you appreciate and value everything about them.
Exactly.
Whether it is the ethnicity, their skin color, their background, their gender identity, their sexual orientation. All of that is valuable and brings something. If it's the same as yours or different from yours, it's going to bring something to the relationship, to the wisdom that they can share with you. So I'm all for looking at someone and saying, hey, tell me about yourself. Tell me about your background. Tell me about who you are, what your story is, because that's going to enrich us. But we got to stop looking at each other and say, this one's good and that one's bad, right? Because that does not enrich us. That makes us less rich in so many ways.
Just be aware of systems and humans. Where does this come from? I always ask myself. So as I said, make your true north humans, and don't worry about the gender or whatever. It just what is the humane decisions that I have to do now? How can I support humanity in any decisions that you do any day, in any response? When I talk to a system person, I say, I'm feeling really sorry that you have to go through this with me and have to listen to me. So she gets the human aspect of it. You know what I mean? And the systems are so bad now, they have become so bad. They were once great. They have become so bad that they neuter the people or castrate the people that actually work for them. So a person gets more and more like a function, yes or no. So it cannot make any decisions. So in the old days, you could talk to the mechanic. You went there, talk to the master of the car thing, and he says, "I'm gonna do it." The system doesn't allow it, but I'm doing it because I see you're not taking advantage of the system, but we want to help you. And that's what it is. A system is here to serve, not humans to serve a system. But it seems that we have conditioned ourselves that we all serve systems. There's a big difference participating in a system, knowing that you are number one and they have to serve you, or submitting to a system and be sacrificed from a system. And if you get that, that is all you need to know, because you need to be aware. I think change happens automatically, because if I say you have a disease, something is going to change. You might be trying to be the same, but your awareness is changing. You have a disease and you have to take care of it. And that's an insight thing, but that you need the awareness first, then everything happens. But if we are not aware, if I'm all system and brand crazy, you can tell me everything about the system. I know I have an Apple computer, I have the Nike shoes, and I am, they give me something, and that's what I'm saying. It's all an ego. It's a big reflection of our ego, and the ego and systems never know that without their hosts, humans or human, they die. There's no purpose for systems. Who should give systems some money, or the system leader some money? I mean, that's distorted too. They hide behind the system leader, They had great joy of creating, Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos. They had a great thing done. But now, what else? I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it's great. But where's the excitement? There's no excitement. It becomes very structured. What is the next thing we're taking over? What is the thing? It's just whatever. They go into the system heaviness instead of how can I use that to make the life of humans better? That they have more time to talk to each other, like you and me, to play with each other, to sing with each other, to paint with each other, to be in nature and enjoy our habitat, listen to poetry, being in our being, and that, feeling that not what I have to be and what I have to do, and I have to do more and more every day. That's why it doesn't work. They have made us segregated, by the way. Systems have made us segregated, and now with political correctness, they want to split, and it doesn't work. There's so much missing in there.
Yeah, and the thing is that then we have vestiges of systems that are underlying other systems that are invisible to us if we don't know the history. And that's like a whole other podcast. See your beautiful art and hear your podcast.
MichaellM.com, Michael with 2 L's, MichaellM.com, and there's the hub. You get the podcast, you get my LinkedIn site, you get everything. There's all your phone number. Whatever you want. Everything.
MichaellM.com with 2 L's on Michael. And so, Michael, just to wrap up, tell us, what is your one piece of advice for a young person starting out? Imagine that college student at your dinner table. What are you going to say to them?
I mean, in the old days, I would have said, be yourself, which is on the way. But today I would say, understand what's real. And I would tell him that I would tell him the metaphor with the dead animal, because first of all, I think that burns into the brain. And I say, so there's this energy of life and death. And this is the most important energy. That's your survival, that's self-preservation. And then there is system stuff. I would literally talk to him about, and what is system? You need to find out what is system. College, anything, that you're a man, and that's what I would tell him. I said,
college, career, it's all made up, right?
Graded up.
All made up, yeah.
And it's all about human. And they said human is just a man. Even if you talk to the worst person that is full blast setting, when you utter the word human, there's something, it changes in that person because it resonates in the being of that person. See, people are not bad; they're distorted from systems, from outdated systems. Now, I'm not saying I'm not against systems. Please don't. Right. Outdated. I said we need to change our relationship to systems where we are number one in nature, because we weren't created by humans. We are not limited.
So understand what's real. I think that is wise.
For you,
very wise for you. What is real for you? Understand what is created, and make sure that you're putting humans first.
Yeah.
That's great advice. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, Michael, for sharing your wisdom with us at the Edges of Lean.
Yeah. Thank you, Bella. I appreciate it.
This is Bella Engelbach, and I'd like to thank Michaell Magrutsche for being my guest all the way at the Edges of Lean. What did you think about our conversation? What do you think about systems and humanity and art? We would so love to hear from you. Find Michael at michaellm.com, and that's Michael with 2 L's. Find me at leanforhumans.com or on LinkedIn. Tell a friend about the Edges of Lean. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen and give us some comments. Please join me in exploring more of the edges of lean. There's a lot to learn, and check out my friends in the Lean Communicators community at leancommunicators.com. You'll find more podcasts and videos with lots of great new content every week. The Edges of Lean is written and produced by Bella Engelbach with support from Podcast Inc. This is a Lean for Humans production.